Do 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 intro music. Welcome to episode 1 of Winging It with the Wignalls.
Hello.
Hello. And this is a podcast about relationships and life and money and getting through the day and learning how to adult and working it out as we go along. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Chris.
Welcome. So to start, we thought we would introduce ourselves. We will do this in a little bit more detail in another episode. But a little bit about me. I am Nikki. I am now Chris's wife.
Wife.
For my day job, I am doing digital marketing and content writing. I am creative. I am very likely ADHD, but waiting for a diagnosis. And for fun, I like hanging out with my dogs, being outside, starting and not finishing lots of different creative projects, and just generally being a little bit chaotic. My now husband was asked to describe me in 3 words, and he said chaotic, creative, and what was the third word?
Was it silly?
Chaotic, creative, and silly. So there you go. That's a little bit about me.
Hi, I'm Chris, in my mid-30s. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm currently in the process of getting an autism diagnosis. I enjoy 3D printing, building, kit bashing, and painting miniatures for wargaming and Dungeons and Dragons and all the great nerdy stuff like that.
Nerd!
I'm very sort of logical and practical minded, and I enjoy rough playing with our puppies and my ferret. And it's not real playing if you don't come away with claw marks all over your face or arms.
We will do a little bit more about our relationship in an episode dedicated to that. But we have been together on and off for about 17 years. Would you say on as many years as off? It kind of works out.
Yeah.
But in this latest stint, we have been together for 3 years, and as of 4 weeks ago, we are now married.
Yay!
We're married. So we thought it would be a good first episode to talk a little bit about the wedding.
Yay!
And all the fun and hours of work that goes into that.
Fun.
So we were actually going to do this before the wedding, but there were quite a lot of other things to do before the wedding, but we can still do it in hindsight. So I thought it'd be fun to start with, well, probably not fun, probably more traumatic, but anyway. Chris, did you have any expectations for the wedding day itself?
Limited, but yeah, so expectations come from exposure to other people's experiences of a similar situation. But this can also include fiction, so films, TV, books, etc. And what I found was that what we were planning didn't really match like our friends' weddings, the weddings you see on TV, etc., because it was a much more sort of scaled down thing. Because we'd kind of added or removed a lot, you couldn't just sort of scale up or scale down, you know, the weddings of those bits. So I was basing my sort of expectations of what the day would be like based on sort of like a garden party, which it mostly was, really. You know, we didn't want it to be this big formal thing. However, my expectation was, you know, once it was all planned and set up and stuff, that I would need to be doing a lot of hosting and all of those things. You know, when you have a party, you spend half the time making sure everyone's got a drink, everyone's got a snack, etc. So yeah, that was kind of my expectations.
You thought you'd be on host mode?
Yeah, that's it. How about you?
I probably, well, I mean, like many girls, I had spent a lot of my life dreaming about my wedding and picturing how it's going to be, so I probably had a lot more expectations than you. And it's probably worth adding that our wedding was quite non-traditional. We went to a registry office, and then with just the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and my parents and Chris's mum and his sisters, and then we had a couple of hours to kind of have some photos and get some stuff set up, and then had everyone come to my parents' garden. So we had 60 people in the garden, which we thought would be quite low-key at the start, but quickly realised throughout the planning process there was still a lot involved in that. So my expectations were that I knew I did a lot of the planning, so I knew that I'd planned it so I wouldn't have much to do on the day, but I thought I'd find it very difficult to kind of let go of that and trust that other people had it in hand and would kind of be constantly on the edge of the control freaky side that can be in my nature, and find it very difficult to just go with it. I also thought that the day would pass in an absolute blur. We had an engagement party with a lot of our friends, and I remember saying hello to everyone. I feel like I danced for half an hour and then the night was over, so I thought it would be kind of a repeat of that. And I also thought it would be quite stressful. I don't like being centre of attention. I don't like having to repeat back words that people say to me. So the ceremony in itself I thought would be absolutely terrifying, and I was convinced I'd stumble over all the words, hated the idea of everyone looking at us, and just thought I'd feel quite uncomfortable, really, between moments of joy and fun and, you know, being happy to be there with our loved ones and celebrate getting married. How did your expectations kind of align with the day itself? Was it?
Yeah, so where we got the expectations to my expectation to host, keep things running and smooth, but actually we had the groomsmen and bridesmaids were really on top of that.
I did tell you I had that all covered.
Yeah, that's it. But it's I almost expected to need to manage them, because especially my my groomsmen and a couple of your bridesmaids are, with the best will in the world, can be a little bit scatty and just need that overarching sort of nudge in the right direction. But yeah, they all smashed it. Had it in hand. Almost two in hand, because you know, I was wandering around kind of feeling like, oh, I kind of need something to do to occupy myself, to keep me busy, because I find that in social situations, finding myself to have a job to do whilst then socialising, I can distract myself from the situation.
The peopling.
Exactly, the peopling. So there I was, a day all about me and you, maximum peopling, zero jobs, and whenever I'd be like, go up to a groomsman or a bridesmaid, oh, does this need doing? Then it's always being told, no, enjoy yourself, don't worry, we've got it in hand. How's your drink? And you know, yeah, that was it was.
You're saying the day went too smoothly for your liking?
Well, this is it.
It was too well organised.
It was too well organised. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, it was good. I didn't have much necessary expectations when it happened, like quite how much setting up and breaking back down there'd be. So like there's a bigger chunk in my memory of being exhausted setting up and taking down, I think, than the actual wedding itself.
Yeah, true.
Just because there was a lot of that, and especially as I was the big strong one that did the heavy lifting and the carrying of the heavy things. But yeah, no, it was good. How about you?
I was going to add, admittedly, even though a lot of your friends were offering to help with the takedown, you were saying no, we're fine, because you were just so peopled out. So I found this out later on, but I feel like we also bought the doing it on our own kind of upon ourselves to a degree. We did get lots of offers, but you were quite done with people by that point. But yes, Chris did say to me afterwards, if he, even though it looked incredible, if he'd realised how long it would take us, he probably would have stripped back a lot of the details of bits that I'd got to go up for the day. But I think it was worth it. It did look great. And yeah, my experience was quite different, really, because I prepared a massive, substantial kind of hour by hour, even half hour by half hour to-do list. Little like wedding day Bible for all the groomsmen and the bridesmaids and our ushers, of things that, you know, that they would kindly need to please do on the day. I knew it was all in hand, and I was surprised at how much I was actually able to just let go and enjoy the day. I thought I'd struggle with kind of wanting to check it was going all right, but yeah, I just was able to just enjoy myself. And I actually had a lot more fun than I expected to. The registry office bit was a bit scary at the start, but everyone, you know, they're there to make you feel at ease and welcome, and we even had a proper giggle. I couldn't get Chris's wedding ring on because your hands were a bit sweaty or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
So that was quite fun. And I was surprised how much the whole day just felt like us. It really did feel like a day that represented who we are. And our friends were just absolutely incredible. Like your brother did so much on the day. He was running around lots and
star of the show.
Yeah, and you know our ushers stepped up and did a lot. One of our ushers knew kind of the wedding timeline off by hand. The bridesmaids were brilliant. So I really think like we'll get onto advice and stuff, I'm sure, but I think that bringing people on that kind of journey with you so they know what to expect does make it such a better day for you. And yeah, I was just surprised how present and in the moment I was, because that's not really like me as a person. But you know, that's the one thing so many people said to me, like, stand back and soak it all in, and I did a lot of that, and it didn't all pass by in a blur, and I did enjoy myself, and it was wonderful seeing friends from both sides meeting when they've not met before, and our families and friends mingling. It was just wonderful. So yeah, I actually enjoyed it more than I expected to, which was a nice expectation versus reality, really.
Yeah, no, I'd second that, especially the registry office. I was very nervous about. That's the expectation, is that it's got to be perfect, and it's this very solemn occasion. One of the readings, the option had solemn half a dozen times within it, so which we didn't choose, but it's
one of the ceremony options.
So we they're making it out to be this really intense, really serious. That's it. It's got to be super serious. Which it felt very intense going in, but it was fine. As you said, the registrar was she was lovely, and putting everyone at ease. Emphasised it was meant to be a happy, fun day.
And I'll give a shout out to our photographer as well. I think we were both a bit anxious about the couple shoots, because neither one of us are really your soft smile kind and pose, and she was brilliant at putting us at ease as well. So it really is like the people you surround yourself with, I think, that make
very much so
the tone of the day. And I think a lot of the people that met us before, even if they hadn't known as well, like our photographer, got our vibe, and I think she very much picked up on the type of people we were, and the tone we were trying to set for the day. So was fully encouraging the silly shenanigans that were going on during the couple shoot. That made a big difference. So we've spoken about expectations versus reality, but what about the day itself? Did you have one or a couple of favourite moments from the day?
So, like, by far my favourite bit of the day was the twilight photos. That was the bit where all of the the ceremony was done, everyone had turned up, we've done all the meet and greet,
dance done,
we've done the first dance, we've done the speech. So I think so the last of those was the first dance, which I was a bit nervous about, but got through it. And after that, there was kind of that massive can relax now. There's literally no more jobs, no more expectations on me. Just have fun.
Drink.
Exactly that. I'd have enough, a couple of drinks to just chill into it, and then we were just messing about, having loads of fun. As you were saying before about the photographer Terry, she was really like riding with it, going with it, loving it.
Is it worth saying what we did for our twilight photos?
Well, we were just being really silly in a field, really, weren't we?
There's a lovely field opposite my parents' house, so we just the two of us went over there and were doing some poses as the sun went down, but they definitely again weren't your soft girl bride couple shot.
That was it. And it's so my not being able to necessarily interpret her instructions or understand the instructions, but then just instead of being awkward and whatever, just going nuts with it and having fun. The various hold your hand here, do this, do that. Yeah, it was lots of fun. You can see in the photos that we're pulling silly faces or really smiling. Cause
Absolutely cracking up.
That's
yeah.
it, that's it. So, yeah, that was really good. I did really enjoy listening to other people's speeches. I think because I went second, it was... I was glad that was done. And actually everyone, it was really good hearing the different bits and pieces that they had to say. Yeah, that was lovely. Especially your dad, that was a key thing. He's a man of very few words, but he said a lot, and it was all very well crafted. So that was lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
How about you?
Oh, you've kind of stolen mine. I was going to say the Twilight photos, and I was really worried I'd get proper FOMO for that bit about leaving everyone having fun just as the dancing is really kicked off and everyone's getting to that drunk mode. But it was so great just to have a moment of just the two of us, but us being us and being really silly. And I don't think we stopped laughing for that whole couple session.
No, that was it.
So we did do one earlier in the day that was a bit more sensible, but I was so glad that we had that moment of just us after a few drinks, just messing around in a field, really.
And the sun had gone away a little bit, so with the early afternoon ones, it was so hot.
Yeah, you were struggling.
I don't deal well with the direct sunlight in the suit. Everything's getting sweaty and sticky. But yeah, the Twilight ones, the jacket had gone. And just having fun.
I was in my evening sequin dress.
That's it.
Hard not to have fun in sequins.
Definitely.
But I'd also say just the moments of, as I said before, like stepping back and watching guests, but seeing people interact and people, it wasn't the people I would have expected that really hit it off. It was like your younger brother, who's not a big fan of social events, and it's actually my cousin's girlfriend were having an absolutely incredible time, lots of vodka involved, but that was just such a surprise and wonderful to see.
Pocket saucers.
Yeah, she was going around with flying saucers in her pockets, cracking everyone up. And then my cousin, who's never met any of my friends, everyone adored her, and that, she's absolutely brilliant. How could you not? But it was seeing those new relationships and connections forming rather than people kind of just bubbling up with, say, your school friends or my bridesmaids all hanging out together.
Yeah, they weren't just bubbling up and staying in their own little cliques. There was definitely some mingling and things going on, which is good.
And I kept getting that moments of, we just have such wonderful people in our lives, and it's like they all recognise that in each other as well. And it just made me really happy and full of love. My friend's very into star signs, and she always says there's a proper Libra thing that we like making connections between people. So maybe that's what it is. But I always love when you introduce people and then they just really hit it off. Yeah. So I was just kind of having that, but 60 times over.
That's it.
Everyone met each other. What about, was there a hardest bit of the day that stands out, or something where you felt kind of the most outside of your comfort zone?
So this actually could have been part of the expectations versus reality, whereby the registry office, the ceremony, actually, that, as we said, that flew by, and that was fine. I had gotten into my head a little bit about that. And interestingly, the wedding speech, that was, I think mostly because I was looking straight down and didn't have anyone in my actual field of view, as opposed to looking up at 60 people all staring at me. But giving a speech to the table was actually much easier than I thought. That was a bit I was kind of dreading. But actually, I thought, 'cause we practiced loads with the dancing, I thought we'd gotten that in the bag. But then in the 10 minutes before that, gotten really into my head about it. And I think it was because everyone was prepping for it, and it was all being this big thing, and it just kept getting into this anticipation for it.
Where you waited for everyone to kind of gather round.
Well,
stand where they could see,
even before that,
blow bubbles.
Like you'd gone up to change into your wedding, your evening gear, and so I was stood around, and it's like everyone's setting up the sparkler tunnel, but it was like the sparkler tunnel then immediately followed by the dance. And so, yeah, that was just all that was on my mind. It was, people calling out, Ben and Josh, the groomsmen, yeah, we're going to do this and then we're going to do this. And it was, yeah, just really got amped up whilst, again, I had no jobs. I was just stood there and I was almost two in the moment, like, yeah, that's it.
No jobs other than
no jobs
out.
other than think very specifically about this task. And yeah, so that was much more sort of terrifying than I'd actually thought. I thought I'd just go into it and be fine.
Tripping over didn't help.
I managed to trip over, but we styled it out. We know where it is because it was filmed and we know what it was meant to be, but it actually doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, some great improv at the end. Just
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, that for me that was the bit, and that's probably why I enjoyed the Twilight photos, which came just after that, even more, because it was like, all of the hard bits are now done. So yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. How about you?
I found giving the speech very scary, but I'm so glad I did it. And other than that, honestly, I think it was right at the end in the evening when it was like probably my neurospicy tolerance for being around lots of people just suddenly ran out. And I really hit a wall where I was like, okay, I'm done now, but there's still people here. And I really thought I'd kind of be like, desperately not wanting people to leave. We asked guests to all leave at 11:30, other than kind of our core party of bridesmaids and groomsmen, so we could sit around fire pits. And we had said until 1, but I was actually so relieved that I don't think anyone did stay till 1, because I just
you'd hit the wall.
Really hit a wall of, okay, I'm done peopling now, but there's nowhere to go that's people free.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, none of it was it wasn't dreadful. I'd say the bits I thought I was going to dread, like the first dance in the ceremony and kind of the getting ready in the morning as well. The classic, what if my winged eyeliner doesn't go even because I'm doing it myself. All of that just went so much more to plan and was so much more relaxed than I expected. So I can deal with like a little bit of a peopled out crash at the end, really.
That's it. And then the rain came in at either 2:45 or 1:15, and really heavily.
I think I summoned that.
That's it, yeah. You went to bed and there was me and just like 2 or 3 other people chilling. And it was that sort of, everyone's talking about, we should go, this, that and the other, but still cracking open another beer just to consider it. The fire needs to die down first, but yeah, the rain cracked on. Everyone was like, quick, run away. And it was like, cool, bedtime.
What about the wedding planning itself? How did you find that? Nearly 2 years of fun.
So when talking about the wedding planning, I realised that there's actually sort of 2 elements to it. There's the planning versus the preparation. So obviously you did most of the planning, not because I didn't want any involvement, but you had a lot more preference and expression of creativity. Whereas, to be honest, the wedding could have gone any number of ways and I would have been perfectly fine with it. But I, had input for, you had a couple of which one of these should we do, and whether it was, my preference or my practical engineering suggestions of can we make this, what would make it a lot easier. Whereas I did a lot of the big making tasks. And then, with the making, you did the more delicate decorations and more creative elements of it.
We definitely split it into blue jobs and pink jobs.
That's it. Yeah. And it works if everyone's happy with the distribution of labor, then, and it works, go for it. So yeah, I found it was all right. It was good. I did find that as my task list was sort of getting bigger and bigger near the end, it was getting a bit intense, especially as for a lot of the tasks, I needed good weather for being outside, cutting up wood for signs and pallets and things like that. But for the month before the wedding, it was just rain,
Tipping it
constant
down.
rain.
Yeah.
So I was very aware, and I know you were getting stressed about how the things I needed to do needed to be done, because then you were going to paint on them and such. So and then so I was very aware of that, which so it was all right. It just got a bit intense near the end, but we didn't kill each other, which was amazing. We still,
Always a winner. Yeah,
that's
still
it.
got married.
We still got married. Nothing was called off. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I think it definitely highlighted like the differences in the way that our brains work and the difference in planning and stuff. I love a project, and I was like slightly bullied you into proposing. Is that fair to say? I was definitely like keen to get engaged rather than it going on to the next year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't say I'd be bullied, but and actually, to be honest, I think it was the right way to go about it, just because there are a lot of couples that say have been together for, well, I'd say my brother Adam and Jay, they've been together for 12 years, like constant, and we asked them, how would you ever get married, and they like the idea of already being married, but because it's gone on so long, it's kind of a when they get round to it, and I don't think. If we got into that situation, I don't think it would ever happen, really, or it wouldn't be, a big deal. So definitely doing it when we did was the right situation. So I definitely didn't feel bullied. And
I was just so excited by the idea of having a project.
that
was kind of all I was thinking of. And at the start, almost like the weekend that you proposed, I was there. We had like the whole timeline planned out, didn't we? We were away camping for a weekend when Chris proposed, and spent the whole of the next day writing out what we're going to do, how the day will flow, who will be our bridesmaids, who will be our groomsmen, starting to think of a guest list. I was just so excited. But it's impossible to maintain that level of enthusiasm for 2 years.
It's that ADHD, you go absolutely intense on a project for the first couple of months, and then you burn out with it, and you're like,
yeah,
no, next new thing.
And I did, even like a lot of the making, I made a lot of macrame hangers for jars with fairy lights and that sort of thing. I started doing that kind of a year and a half before I'd got the bridesmaids dresses over a year before the wedding. But I found it difficult that it was my kind of hyperfixation. The wedding was all I could think about for probably the first 6 months when we were engaged, and then the 6 months before the wedding, and couldn't understand why you were happily doing other projects that weren't solely about the wedding. And I'm very much, if I'm doing something 3 weeks before it's due, or, scale it down or up, with a kind of 2-year timeline, I wanted to be done kind of 2 months before, or a month before the wedding, whereas you'll tend to be doing something kind of 20 minutes after the deadline, is probably fair to say. So that caused a couple of clashes between us, but I think we dealt with them so well, and there's only 2 occasions I can think of where we had to sit down and kind of air off our frustrations of how we're both feeling. And really what it came down to is how we both handle projects, how we both like to work, around deadlines. And I think when you can see it as it's project management rather than relationship issues.
I've literally written that down in my notes for the advice. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, jumping ahead.
That's
fine. We had moments where it did get a bit overwhelming, and it did start to feel like something that was had potential to impact our relationship, but we never let it get that far.
That's it. You've got to recognise that if something is following a particular path, like have a little meeting, just like have a chat, how's it going, a catch up, just to kind of make sure it's still going in the right direction, emotionally, and all of that, just because I can fully imagine people hate each other if they don't do that.
It all builds up.
Exactly. You don't want to be having massive rows before the wedding, and I can foresee people it almost souring the day because you've been bickering or had so much of this
tension.
It, tension that hasn't been managed.
Yeah, definitely. that probably leads us on quite nicely. And I'm sorry for stealing one of your
No,
something
that's
from
okay.
your notes.
That's fine.
Chris has got a little notebook with bullet points in front of him. It's very adorable.
That's it.
But do you have any words of advice for other people that are either, you know, they might have recently got engaged and be in the early stages of planning, or they might be very close to their wedding day?
So one bit of advice you might not have heard is if you treat it like a work project, you know, you don't have to do it every day or even every week, just some form of check-in whereby you're discussing your different thoughts if things change, but also managing expectations. So that was one of the things that we needed to chat about, where I was seeing how much time we had left and thinking, yeah, no, I can still get this done, whereas you were still basing on the original timeline where I'd said, oh, I imagine I'd get it done by here and here, and that had gone. Also, I would say try and not to make your entire existence about the wedding. I know your particular mind functions, that's very difficult because you were dreaming wedding stuff, you know, everything was wedding stuff. And that probably doesn't help that, you know, when you've got social media and you have the marketing algorithms for
All
the
the
adverts,
reels, yeah.
all of the adverts, all of the reels, all of the things, suggested things, you might like this. It's all then wedding related stuff. But having some time out.
And how would you suggest people do that? Is that like making time to see friends and not talk about wedding, having time in your relationship, not about wedding?
So I'd say find time for you as a couple, where you're not thinking about wedding stuff. So like a date night or even a date evening in where you can you know, build a puzzle, have some music on, and have a couple of drinks, and just the focus isn't the wedding. It's just spending time together, enjoying each other's company. Just having fun, you know, reminding yourself this is why we're getting married. You know, you enjoy spending time together.
Yeah.
But then similarly, and I think this is great for good advice for just relationships full stop, is finding time for you as an individual. Where you can, that might be seeing friends. So it's quite an interesting sort of comparison, whereby when we'd see some of your friends, a lot of their questions would be, oh, how's the wedding, this, you know, that. Whereas my friends 9 times out of 10 wouldn't mention the wedding, and to be honest, I enjoyed that because it was for them, seeing me still wasn't the main thing, wasn't about the wedding, it was about seeing me, which was nice. But I would kind of say, I did mention, you know, we'd have a couple of drinks, but if you're in a situation where you're kind of getting stressed about the things you need to do and need to think about, if you're going out with your mates and things to kind of have a bit of a let off steam, probably don't go out and get absolutely hammered, because then being hungover really isn't going to help the motivation or getting on with some of these tasks. That's my advice. Do you have any?
I think that's really good advice. I think also just kind of being patient with yourself and accepting that you are going to have a lot of different emotions, and probably you and your partner are going to feel very differently in the build up to the wedding. You know, I really liked that my friends were asking me about the wedding. It was kind of all I could think about, particularly the months before, and I found it very difficult to not to pretend to be interested into anything else, but to tell the bit of my brain that was going, I'm getting married in 6 weeks, to whoosh and listen to whatever they were trying to talk about other than that. But I think, you know, just accept there's highs and lows, that you're going to do, you know, that just because you're working on stuff a year and a half before and they're not, it doesn't mean that they're any less invested in the wedding than you. Everyone does stuff so differently, and to just keep having those conversations with your partner, and even
21st century, it could be a polyamorous
it could be partners. You're very, very true. We are inclusive here. You've thrown me off a bit. And writing stuff down, that was going to be my other tip. Like we had shared lists, apps on our phone that we could get to. I had kind of like key deadlines in my diary, my planner that I absolutely is my Bible. It's the only thing that keeps me organised with my ADHD. I also had like separate lists kind of individually that when it was in my head, I'd write it down and then made sure that I then would eventually copy it across to my wedding planner. So it was all in one place.
Your pre-list list, your primary list, and then when it was important, it would get put into your wedding planner list.
Yeah. And just not trying to keep it in your head, because I think that's what I find really exhausting, when you just have so many things in your head. But then if it's written down, it's a lot easier to then share it with other people. So the fact the two of us could go through my list together and, you know, just check in on how stuff was going. You might raise things I've not thought about. You know, Chris said, where we've got 60 people coming to your parents' garden, where are they going to hang their coats? And I thought, I'd, you know, covered off every single possible detail. But it's really, really helpful to have those conversations and have everything that's in your head written down, so it's easier for the other person to see gaps and kind of help with that.
That's it, yeah.
What about for the actual wedding day itself? Would you have any advice if people, someone said, I'm getting married this weekend, would you have any advice for them?
I mean, like as you've said, you know, you created the that really extensive sort of timeline list for the groomsmen and bridesmaids. I don't know if such a, you know, minute by minute playlist would necessarily be required, but at least having everyone that's actually involved knowing what's going on at each step, because I can, you know, again, if you haven't told people and people can't find you, then they're going to be asking the groomsmen and the bridesmaids, and if they can't help, then there's no one really left to help, really. So
well, and also you don't want to be fending off questions left, right and centre, or you know, dealing with crisis
that's it.
on your wedding day. It's great to have other people there. And that's actually something that I meant to mention. I think, you know, bringing in the people in your wedding party to help, you know, far in advance as well, you know, give them a little bit of time to read through anything you want them to know. Just makes it so much more relaxed on the day. And for them as well, like I've been a bridesmaid a couple of times and not really knowing what to expect from the day or what was expected of me. And then I think you want them to have the best day, but you're also a bit nervous if you don't know where you're meant to go next, or
that's it,
where you go when you reach the end of the aisle, or, you know, what should I paint my nails, what colour should my nails be, do I need to buy my own shoes, all this sort of stuff. You know, having it laid out before, it can put their mind at ease, but then also let them know how they can help you on your special day, and ultimately that's part of what they're there for.
And also they can, you know, when you're listing off bits and pieces, they might have suggestions and things that could really help. So,
yes. Yeah, definitely. I think I'd say if people are about to get married, try and soak in the moments before and on the day. You can just get into such a blur of stress. But we kept finding little moments to just kiss each other and say, we're getting married. And I loved all of those moments. And then throughout the wedding day, you know, taking those moments to soak it in and appreciate all the hard work you've done, and take a moment and look at how pretty it looks, or how great your bridesmaids all look together. Kind of add to that little memory bank. You will have photos to look back on, but I think that's why for me it didn't feel like the day went in a blur, because I kept making myself almost just step back and soak it in, and that also helped me regulate my own emotions as well and calm myself down. So I found that really helpful. We hope you enjoyed our first episode. I'm sure we will get a little bit more smoother with this.
Yay! We did it.
We did it. We did one. At some point we will have an Instagram account, but probably not by the point this goes live. But yes, thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you come back and join us again for our future episodes, where we're going to talk more about how we manage our relationship as two neurospicies, how we manage work, life hacks that help make stuff around the home just a little bit easier.
Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, but hopefully see you again soon. Love you guys. Bye. Bye.